Now let's move on to another topic, okay? And this is product knowledge, another bottleneck, okay? Because we need to teach our users how to operate, how to use the software. And in many cases, I'm sure, I know for sure that some new features are got overlooked, okay? Because people don't know how to use it. So we also work in this direction, okay? And since last year, we have a teammate who is working exclusively on learning materials, okay? So meet our training content producer and also official voice of ENCY, Mr. Gerry Grainger.
So hi, lovely to meet you all. That is rather a lot more beard than I have today, isn't it? So yeah, I'm Gerry. I've been brought in exclusively to work with training material development for ENCY. I come from an educational background, so this is the kind of situation I'm used to working in. Obviously, you've heard my voice plenty now. You don't know much about me, so, who is this guy? Come on, it's a valid question. Closer. Sorry, my apologies. So yeah, clearly not as handsome or as cute as the older images might suggest, but hey, I'm here now. So I have a fairly comprehensive background working in technical industries. As a child, I was the kid that was dangerous to leave near a screwdriver. I love to pull anything apart. I love to understand how things work. I spent the first decade of my career working in IT almost exclusively. I was trained by my father in this. After this, I moved into software training at a London university, teaching graphic design and video editing from there. And I had the good fortune to be involved in a project building one of the very early 3D printer prototypes from the RepRap project. So when the laser cutter we used to build that got broken, someone handed it to me and said, "You like fixing things, make this work." So from that point on, we ended up structuring an entire CNC facility from scratch, because somehow the university itself had managed to completely bypass the whole CNC revolution. And they kind of realized that their student body really needed to know what modern technology looked like from there. After working at the university, decided to get a little bit more into actual industry. So I've worked from the ground up, dealing with sort of very low-level shop floor jobs, working right through into being a CAM programmer all over again. And again, had a real stroke of luck. I got a call from a recruiter at one point saying, "You've got a really weird resume. Good for you. I've got a really weird job." And I got into the theme park industry, which is where I learned how to program robotic milling. From that point onwards, I ended up hooking up with the guys at ENCY. Again, huge stroke of luck once more. It's been an absolutely great journey so far. And this is what's gotten me to the point of where I am now. So hopefully being able to provide useful training materials to your customers and clients, maybe even to some of yourselves as well. And I gotta say, it's great fun right now, it really is. So yeah, what is it that I'm doing? So far we've already produced multiple videos on sort of robotic milling, some additive manufacturing, that sort of stuff. We've got several more videos in the pipeline. On 3-axis machining, on turning, and on welding, and so on and so forth. There's a whole slew of stuff that's going to be coming forward from here on out. So we're not sitting still on any of these topics. And of course, with some of the announcements that have been made today as well, I'm going to be very, very busy for the next year, certainly. Obviously, one of the things that people ask is, why are we so worried about training? There's help texts, there's user manuals, surely people can use those. And one of the things that's most important to consider is the fact that not everyone is a purely literary learner. Some people need to see the process. Some need to have it explained to them verbally. Some need to watch the whole thing being done through and have their hand held throughout. And that's exactly what I'm here to do. So yeah, basically we're working through maintaining as much of a breadth of training content as possible, whether it be through videos or live seminars or live support on projects utilizing ENCY Clouds as well, which is something I'm looking very much to lean into over the next few months too. One of these elements as well is that we're trying to maintain the complete uniformity of appearance throughout all of these, so people aren't suddenly getting this weird jarring response between, oh yeah, this is a turning project, it looks really strange compared to the robotic project I was doing last week. We want to try and keep the whole thing looking and feeling the same, so people can dip in and out wherever they need to and not be overwhelmed by the change. Of course, speed. Speed is always the issue. Everyone wants to know everything right now. They don't want to have to slow down and think about anything. So we are looking into ways of being able to economize and improve on the amount of time taken for all of this. One of the ideas that I'm working with at the moment is kind of hooking into the dopamine loop that everyone's really stuck into with stuff like Instagram now. So little 40-second videos just explaining the principles of a topic, or really looking at like, oh yeah, this is the settings breakdown for this particular system. The kind of stuff that allows people to really just bite into a topic very quickly without having to wade through several pages of manual first. This can also be used to do things like improve the manuals as well. So we'll have like little flashcard animations paired up with the actual manual documentation too. So there's an easy reference in and out. I don't want to be able to tie it into the longer video documentation that goes with it as well. The whole point of all of this, of course, is to try and keep the learning curve as easy as possible, because the last thing you want to be doing is bouncing off a cliff face of learning straight off the bat. So we are, again, really leaning into the consistency of the stylistic backbone throughout the whole thing as well. And this is one of the great victories of ENCY as far as I'm concerned, in that every workspace is very, very similar, bordering on identical in terms of overall appearance and how it presents to end users. We don't want people to have to completely mentally re-gear for each part of the process that they're dealing with, which is a problem that I've seen firsthand in old CAM software historically. Based on that, this uniformity throughout, this consistency of approach, it means that we've got the real strength of being able to use these basic granular concepts to be able to build into very, very advanced things. And if you can set up a roughing plane, you can get into complex topological planes instead. Water lines are not like a huge thing by comparison, for example. And working in non-planar stuff beyond that, it's a fairly easy step and evolution from that information. There's no drastic jump to be made. And again, one of the really good things that I learned about ENCY is I've had to train people directly. I trained my replacement at my previous workplace, and it's very, very easy to pick up the core functionality in a very short period of time. We've actually got a very, very smooth and easy transition from never having seen the software before, but understanding the basics of 3D space, to being able to produce viable machining programs very, very quickly. And that's something that I'm intending to leverage going forward. So being able to focus on that consistency throughout is a real strength of ours, and something that I will keep hammering on about because I'm really quite pleased with it. Of course, doing the job that I do, it's not all smooth sailing. It's not as easy as I try to make it look. As with swans everywhere, there's a lot of mad paddling happening underneath the water. And the videos go wrong quite frequently. One of the big things is the sheer amount of rehearsal and reworks and retakes that has to be done, even for a simple 10-minute video. It's very, very frequent that you get to the 9-minute and 40-second mark only to say something stupid or to misclick something, and then you've just gone and burned that entire section. There's also an awful lot of seeming almost conspiratorial aspects based around you as well. So Microsoft graphics updates are the bane of my existence. They have messed around with the color profile and what I'm recording so many times it's not even funny. Equally, trying to maintain the right kind of tone. I don't want to sound condescending, but equally, I don't want to assume that everyone knows everything already. So being able to strike that correct balance to engage people and not lose them as I go. I mean, I'm hoping I'm not losing too many of you right now, for example. Most of you still seem pretty locked in on it though, so I guess that counts as a win for me. And going forward, really leveraging the AI tools that Andre's been talking about, being able to properly lean into where we're going with the software going forward from here is something that's of great importance to us, and to myself in particular, because I've been fascinated by the development of AI from the get-go. However, what I must emphasize is this cannot happen in a vacuum. I need to hear from you guys. I need to know what it is that you and your customers want from us. Because I can sit here and I can author as many videos as I want, but if they're not relevant to your needs, what's the point? So I need to hear back from you. I need to know what it is that you need, what it is that's missing, what I'm getting wrong, anything like that. That's kind of the whole point of me being here as a communications platform. So one of the biases that I'm intending to really work with is having a much more open communication system. So things like running chat servers or being able to leverage ENCY Clouds going forward as a primary support platform as opposed to just a job by job kind of thing. And this ties in a little bit further with stuff that I'm going to talk about in a minute as well, about learning platforms going forwards. So, yep, we are in fact developing new courses as we speak at the moment. As I said, we've got a whole bunch of them in the pipeline already, but we're also looking at completely reformatting how the coursework works going forwards. Gamification is something that I'm leaning into quite strongly as well, because everyone loves to hit a high score. They love to know they're doing a little bit better than the next guy kind of thing. So we're looking at developing sort of a backbone of courses which branch out into areas of specialism as you go through. So you've got your basic 3-axis machining course, you've got your basic turning course, you got your basic robotic course, and then you specialize into 3+2-axis machining, or full 5-axis interpolation, or mill turn, or say robotic welding and 6D angular stuff. And being able to not only generate a roadmap for that kind of thing, but also go into deep dives into really weird and arcane issues as well. Stuff like the axis map, which is often glossed over, and I will admit, that sounds a little bit redundant now, having seen the automagical axis map version that we've just seen a few minutes ago. But people still need to understand how these things work under the bonnet. It's not something that you could just neglect and say, well, it works 95% of the time, you're great. Sometimes they will need to understand it. And having these detailed videos full of the weird knowledge that you don't normally need to touch is something that is valuable and important, in my opinion. We're also looking at rebuilding the entire training platform, much like the old training platform that we had with the former software version, except this time round, as I say, we're working through a skill tree and skill tier system, much like you get in video games, because as I say, people love to have ranks and little titles, and they say, oh yeah, I've done more of this than you. Don't ask me why, it's just the way that people seem to work, you know, they love a bit of competition in there. But if it means that we can also keep track of user skill levels and understanding and work out what we need to polish as well going forward, then that's a great tool as far as I'm concerned. So we will be able to accredit people as they go through and say you're certified and knowing how to do this kind of thing, which means that we can also then further branch out a little bit and let users communicate with other users about this sort of knowledge, meaning we can specialize further for what they need too. The whole point of this is I want to be able to propagate the information, not just keep it as a closed loop sort of thing that only we dispense. Another aspect as well is the increased use of ENCY Clouds. I actually want to use this as a delivery system for training as well, just as much as anything else. So we've got this wonderful online backbone system now whereby we can dish out jobs through that and people can send their jobs back to us for review or for any kind of technical input or whatever. So why not use it as a training method as well? It's right there. It's not like people want to keep downloading STCP files like they used to back in the day. It also means that we can set up things like bookable slots for immediate interaction and review, which hopefully is the kind of thing that people will find useful. Obviously, time will tell on this one. Another thing that I'd really, really like to push is seeing what it is that people are making, what it is your customers are coming back with. Obviously, stuff that's not subject to NDA or whatever. But with the new project page and everything, it'd be really nice to be able to have some banners up at the top showing sort of photos and videos of completed projects, along with files that people are willing to share to show how they got to that end. Again, it's kind of being able to flex on your neighbor kind of thing, being able to show off a little bit, saying, yeah, check this stuff that I'm doing out. You haven't done that yet, have you? And yeah, it's a little bit of competition, but equally it's informative for everyone. So as I say, one of the big things for me is building this learning community. I don't want it to be a single point of reference. I want people to be able to communicate with each other and to learn as a larger group. So I'm thinking things like maybe having live forums, which means that we can maintain a technical presence as well as a sales presence and a support presence on there as well. But it stops people from having to feel that layer of abstraction where if you're sending an email to the developers, you feel like it's a big thing and you're like, oh, is my problem really big enough to warrant this? Whereas if they're just guys on a forum that you can chat to, then it's less obstructive. It feels less like you're transgressing on their time. And it means that we can have a closer feel as to what it is the user base is feeling and what they want. Also, it gives us a clear idea as to how to look at how the opposition's doing it. Now, I'm not going to name any names, but equally, many of our competition are getting some things right and some things wrong when it comes to user interaction. Now, obviously, things like large open forums need serious moderation. They need attention paid to it. I can think of several examples off the top of my head which are quite good and several examples which really aren't. And that kind of curation to stop it from getting messy and very combative is very important and something that I will be focusing on closely. So yeah, you've got differences in approach in how the training works. Some packages some CAM producers use very, very curated videos that are very heavily edited to show that this is the ideal workflow. One of the things that we focus very heavily on is a much more live feel of our videos. Everything happens in real time. We don't trim out any major sequences. Sometimes if there is a long tall calculation period, I'll snip a little bit of it, but there's no jump cuts, nothing is sped up. Everything is as it comes to pass. While the curated videos might look a lot nicer and fit inside a 2-minute 30 window, if people want to know about a project and need to know it takes 8 minutes, that's what we do. Equally, I don't really want the whole totally messy slipshod approach that some companies have got as well. Some of the smaller CAM packages out there have got very Wild West kind of user experiences for being able to deal with training and understanding and communicating. So again, this is something we need to focus on heavily going forward. So the real question is, what does this mean for us at the moment? I mean, we're doing amazingly well right now as far as I'm concerned. We've got the new brand with all of the old knowledge and everything's coming together beautifully. We've got the market insight. We see what it is that people like to use as a product. And I'm hoping that we can expand on the dynamic user engagement. We can get a better feedback from people, get a better understanding of what it is that people want. At the moment, the level of specialization we have is, in my opinion at least, as a long-term CAM user, practically unbeaten. We really do focus on an awful lot of things very, very keenly, and we do it very well. And of course, the fact that we're getting on board with AI from the start and doing a proper job of it, you can't really get past it. It's unbeatable. So, now that we've had this talk, I'm hoping I won't be able to eat too much more of your time because obviously everyone here looking like they might be wanting that coffee right around now. So I'm going to head on to the square. I could do so.
Okay, so let's give a great thank you to Andrei Haratsidi for ENCY version 2 presentation. We keep on looking at this version and we can't wait to start sales. And thank you, Gerry, for your insightful presentation for training and educational strategy. I'm the viewer of your YouTube channel, so I invite everyone who still was not there. Okay, I need to move. So we're a little bit short in time because of this a lot of information. We still have a coffee break for 15 minutes. So at 11 a.m. You're welcome back to the hall to proceed with general session. And now a coffee break. Thank you.